Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the Civica webinar From Data to Decisions, a Smarter Way to Plan. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we are meeting on. For those of us in person WA, that's the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I pay my respect to elders, past and present, and extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us today. For all participants in New Zealand, I also acknowledge Maori as Tangata Wenua and pay respect to their role as Kaitaiaki of the land and waters. So my name is Celine. I'll be your host for this session.
And I'm Christian Larson. Technical product manager, looking after the data warehouse product.
And we also have Warren Dean, founder of DataTale, Power BI expert and consultant, who will share how data and insights can support smarter decision making in local government. Welcome, Warren, and thank you.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the agenda. So here's how the session will run. After I'm done with the introduction, we'll move to Christian, who will talk about the challenges and solutions you are facing today around data. After that, Warren will take over and talk about how councils can use data and insights. Then we'll come back to Christian for a closer look at the benefits of data warehouse. And finally, we'll finish with a Q&A. So please keep your questions or put your questions at any time into the Q&A box, and we'll come back to them at the end. The session is being recorded, and we'll share the recording with you afterwards by email about 2 to 3 days after the webinar. With that, let's get started. Christian, I'll hand over to you to walk through the challenges our customers may face today.
Thank you very much, Celine. So today we're looking at our product, the data warehouse. So this is available to all customers currently using Authority and Altitude, and looks to address some key challenges that councils face. So typically around reporting and developing dashboards, making information available and accessible to people, and really helping you to get insights from that data and actually make it so it's very, very easy for people to see those insights and obviously then go and create actions. So just a few challenges I've got on the screen here. With the Altitude product, it holds a huge amount of data. So as you know, there are thousands of tables actually in there, which makes it extremely powerful, but also extremely complex. So the data in itself is not that easily accessible, and you also very much need to be an expert on how that data is structured in order to build the appropriate queries and reports that have not just the data, but actually the correct data. Because the Authority system is so configurable, there are a lot of variables that need to be considered when writing queries and pulling data out onto reports. Those structures that are in Authority, as I said, are very complex, hard to navigate. A lot of councils typically have maybe 1 or 2 people that know that structure. So you are very much putting risk in having just those experts knowing how things sit together, how things work. And then if they're creating lots of reports and suites of reports, you're really leaving risk there if that person was to leave council. So having someone to come in afterwards, trying to work out what was built, why it was built, can be very challenging, and can often lead to old reports that have inconsistent, incorrect data, and obviously leaves council sort of hung out to dry a little bit. It can also cause system slowdowns and table locks and things like that. So if you are running reports and you are creating views and things over the top of the Authority data, it can slow down your actual production system. So the idea here is move all that reporting and everything else into a data warehouse, so we reduce all these risks. So just going to the next slide here, our solution. So as mentioned, Authority very complex, data warehouse is the opposite. So we actually have a very complex ETL process, which is an extraction, transform, and load process that takes all that data in those thousands of tables in Authority and puts them into a very, very simple, easy to use star schema. So tools like Power BI, other systems can simply just point to these tables, these modules, and it knows how to use this data. Everything is also set up in plain English. So there's no abbreviated codes that people need to stop and think, what does that actually mean? Is it actually correct? Everything is named very logically and very easy, which means that going forward in the future, using tools with AI, using LLM models and things like that, should be able to understand what the data is, how it is, and then plugging into other systems means you can basically use your plain English prompts and generate dashboards, generate reports automatically. Also keeping your system live and fast, because the reporting process now isn't against your production database, it's actually against the data warehouse. So there's less risk of things slowing down, less risk of table locks and causing issues in that production system. And it means you can now open up this data probably to more people within the council as well. Another point there, as mentioned, reducing the risk of inaccurate reporting. In my time at Civica, working with the biz product and the data warehouse, seen lots of councils go and build reports and then start testing them in against the data warehouse and actually finding some inaccuracies. And it turns out it's not so much the data warehouse that was incorrect, it was actually some of the original reports that council was using. So for many years, these reports may have actually been incorrect. So highlighting that very easily, very simply, and making sure the data is correct is now really Civica's responsibility in the data warehouse. We're making sure that the data that is in there is correct. And it also means that as we do updates and as we further develop our authority systems and altitude systems, any schema changes, anything we have in there will automatically roll through into the data warehouse. So you don't need to go and recreate reports every time we go and build a new version of authority or altitude. The database schema changes should already be in the data warehouse and be rolled out in the same version upgrades that you're doing with authority. So the data warehouse tables and table structures would stay the same, which means that any reports and dashboards you build shouldn't break as a part of that upgrade process and a part of that core authority schema change. You shouldn't need experts in council. You can feel free to roll out access to the data warehouse to different people in different teams. You don't need to know table structures. You don't need to know the intricacy of the authority system. It is very, very simple and nicely structured. One part of the package that we do offer with the data warehouse is a set of Power BI templates. So it really is just a little package of, here's some things to get you started. I will be upfront in saying that they're not out of the box automatically going to generate or be used for plug and play dashboards. They might require a little bit of adjusting to suit your council's setup. So for example, you might use different source codes for payroll accounts from council to council. That very small adjusting these templates might be required. But the idea there is to give you something that will get you going pretty much the same day that the data warehouse is installed. Jumping on the next slide. So this is a nice one just to illustrate what the business impact is. I've mentioned a few things here, but going back to our customers and actually talking to them, the ones that are already using the data warehouse, and finding out some impacts. So where is the biggest benefits being seen? Some of which in terms of the query performance. So instead of having a big query that might be a page long joining to 20 different tables, all that data is simply in one table now, which means it's a lot simpler to create and it's a lot faster to run. Looking at the little purple box down the bottom there, insights we've had from councils has been 50 to 70% reduction in the time to create their first dashboard. So if they had to create it over the top of the authority database, it would take a lot longer and be a lot more complex and possibly not as accurate. There's a lot less support tickets, so around reporting. So again, having incorrect tables changing, things have reduced a lot once going to the data warehouse. And you're not having to develop all these joins and data sets and things yourself. It's all in the data warehouse. And even refreshing the data, again, because it's a lot simpler, it's a lot quicker for people to actually run the refreshers, get the data into it, and actually make it available for people throughout the council. So I'll just leave that for a second there. Okay, and one other slide here, just looking at the different types of people within council. So business leaders, IT teams, report analysts, or people actually going to be building the reports themselves. There's a lot of benefits for each of them. Whether again, it is someone building the reports, having the data easy to read, easy to build the queries, plugs into Power BI. So part of the structure that we build in the data warehouse is to make it easy in Power BI. So we've formatted tables, formatted the data, so it'll just plug in there and work. You could link to your general ledger and simply just plot my actuals versus budget, show it on a trend chart. Pulling data from authority directly using the table structures that are in authority, that's not as straightforward. So it is a lot quicker to generate everything. It does have some good documentation in there if people wanted to actually reverse engineer the tables that we convert the data from, where it came from in the authority system. All of that information is available. Okay, and these slides will be available for you afterwards if you want to take those back to anyone in council. So that's a bit of a brief introduction from me in regards to the data warehouse. What I'm going to do now is actually hand over to Warren Dean. So Warren has a few things prepared for us today. Let me just make him a presenter. And I'll let Warren introduce himself.
Cool. Thank you, Christian. Thanks for having me. So my name is Warren Dean. I'm the founder of DataTale. I've been working in local and state gov for over 15 years, and I specialize in Power BI development. And kind of echo what Christian was saying there, one of my biggest pain points, especially when I was working in local government, is how do I get access to the data? Which table do I need? How many tables do I need? What's the relationships that I need? And so the fantastic thing about what's been shown to you there is all that hard work's done for you. And Power BI is a tool that we can actually just take and connect to that and get our answers quickly. So that's part of my role, and that's what I do at DataTale. So DataTale, I do Power BI training tailored to government. So I've trained over 2,100 people. I do Power BI report development. So if you need help getting your Power BI reports built, I can support you in that. I do also mentoring, rolling out Power BI out across the organization as well. And feel free to check out my website. I'll bring it up here. And you can see the various clients that I've worked with. Of course, it's in a Power BI report because that's what I do. And you can get a lot of inspiration from the gallery. So there's a lot of Power BI reports in here, and you can see different ways that you can engage with your data, lots of spatial reports, and these reports are all live. You can click in here in the reports and engage with census reports and things like that. I do also run a Power BI community of practice. So this is a free quarterly meetup. It's all virtual. We do it via Teams, and you can register right here, get any information that you like here. And you can also see the previous sessions, which will take you to my YouTube page. And you can see we've been going for quite a while. So we just had meetup 19 7 days ago. So we'll have another one in February, but we would love for you to join us. Power BI is an ever-changing world, and my goal is to keep you up to date, what's new, what's happening, so that you can be equipped to use Power BI in your workplace. So what is that? So that's a Power BI for government community of practice. We would love to have you there. Again, it's a free event, and we have lots of presentations, a lot from local gov, some state gov as well. And this is just an example of the last one we had, the 25th of November. So the ABS came along, gave us a really good presentation, Banyule Council and myself. But what I want to do today is to give you a little bit of a demo. So obviously there are a lot of templates that have been built on the Civica website, the data warehouse, and those templates are available to you. And I'm going to show you, I'm not going to use a template, I'm just going to connect directly to the warehouse and show you some of the ways and how quick and easy you can pull up and interrogate your data. So let me jump into Power BI. For those of you who haven't seen this before, this is Power BI Desktop. I am connected to the data warehouse. So you can see on the side here, this is the data And these are all the tables. And if I open one of these, you'll get the columns under the table itself. So you can see the general ledger there and all the columns within the general ledger. The hierarchy, which is obviously important. I have 6 levels of hierarchy available. And so you can see all these tables, and this used to be my pain point. How do I find these tables? How do I get access? How do I bring them in? With Power BI, you are able to connect to various data sources. And one of them would be SQL Server for the warehouse to bring that data in. So one thing to show you before we jump into the demo is we do need to understand the model. So this is the model view over here. So in the demo I'm doing today, we're looking at the general ledger. So I have all the balances of the general ledger, then the general ledger structure, and then the hierarchy of the general ledger itself. And you can see there's 3 tables, but those tables have relationships joining them all. So they all talk to each other, which means I can grab, let's say, level 3 hierarchy, and then look at my budget expenditure. So let's have a go. So I'm here in Power BI Desktop. Even if I don't know where the table is, I can use the search box and just put 3 because I know it's level 3, hierarchy 3. Then we can grab some measures from the balance table. So I'll get my actual expenditure and my budget expenditure. So I can bring my values in there and it's already pre-modeled. Now I have multiple years of data as well, but we do have a year table. So I can drag the year on the side here, turn that into a filter. Let me just change that to a nice drop-down filter instead. Actually, let's do a list. And now I can just look at 2019 data. So you can already see the benefits for the business in terms of getting access to this data quickly. Here, I'm looking at just 2019. I can look at my actual expenditure and my budget expenditure. Again, this is fake data, it's not real data. And I can see the 3 departments there. And all that data is available to me. And then instead of tables, I can visualize it into, let's say, a chart. And I can pull a chart out like so. I might want some high-level figures as well. So I can create what's referred to as a card and add those values in again. So actual expenditure and budget expenditure, and maybe the percentage consumed. So all my data is here available for me, and again, multiple charts. So maybe, we could do the same chart as a pie chart. So I can just copy, Control-C on my keyboard, Control-V, put it over here, change it into a pie chart, and I will just get rid of budget. So there's a pie chart as well. Or I could make something like a matrix. And again, apologies, I'm just quickly demoing. I have a lot of training material, and you're more than welcome to come on training courses with me to learn how to do this. So as you can see, I am just dragging and dropping, but it's just understanding where are the components in Power BI and how I can use them. And then obviously we want to make it look nice as well. So if we bring that table down, I might want another layer under there. So we do have different hierarchies. So I can head over to the hierarchy and maybe drag in level 4 as well. Expand that. And then I'll just zoom in and you can see. So that table has level 3 and level 4. And I think if we go into the general ledger, we could even grab in some descriptions and have another layer down. So yeah, contracts, materials. So all that data is easily accessible to you using the data warehouse. And I used to spend days, if not weeks, trying to work out where this data actually lives, bringing it all in like this. Now, that's just a quick demo of dragging and dropping and bringing in your Power BI reports. I do have multiple training courses. One is on, actually end-to-end Power BI. But there's another one which is on data visualization, best techniques, which I've already done here in the next page, because we can actually, build in templates, themes, colors, and make your report look really nice so that the business will be able to use it, quickly answer their business questions and get back to their job. So, there I'm adding things like back template images. So, background, if I add that in, so, and so I can have a background, I can move things around. And obviously you have, Word and PowerPoint templates in your workplace. You can build one with Power BI itself, and all your Power BI reports across the organization will have a nice, beautiful theme that matches, and comms will be happy as well. Other things that we can do here is, especially being finance data, people really want to see what is behind, for example, this 2 million here. So if we have a look at this value, this tooltip will pop up and it says that there's $2 million being spent by the Environment Department. We can build things that are referred to as drill through. So if I want to see all the raw data behind that 2 million, well, I could click on the object there and it will, on the side here, filter. So when I clicked here, it does filter everything else on the page. So you can see all the other charts are filtered. But I can also, if I hover for a second, build a drill through. The drill through will take me to another page, and that page will give me all the raw data behind that particular bar. So if I go raw data, you'll see here, let me click on that, deleted a measure. Here's all the raw data behind there. So we have actual expenditure, budget expenditure, and I can put that variance back in as well. Balance consumed. So we can put all that in there, and then you'll have all the kind of experiences similar with Excel, where I could add, conditional formatting. So I can say, have a look at budget consumed, and let's say if it's over 100%, we want to mark that with a red bar. Oh no, actually, let's do an icon, red icon. So I can jump in here. Budget consumed. Actually, let's just do actual expenditure. That might be simpler to demo. Okay, actual expenditure. All right, something's broken there. It's not letting me pick. Anyway, you can add in rules for the icons here. Data bars is another fun one that I like to use. Budget expenditure data bars, so that you can get an idea of that this particular column is so much bigger than this one than all these other ones. So jump back to the demo page, raw data. So you can then go and click on another one. So social and recreation, scroll through, and then you see I'm just getting social and recreation data. So this allows me to have multiple pages. I can have a nice summary page at the start and all that raw data on other pages. And that people in the team want to grab this data, click on the 3 dots, export that data out into text or CSV file, write their own formulas in Excel. So we want to give people easy access to do those type of things. So that's referred to as a drill through. I have lots of other formulas here that you can build. So there's obviously what comes from the warehouse, but if you have another bespoke requirement, you can build your own formula. So you can see here I've got previous year data. So when I click on a particular year, I will get the previous year in these little gray boxes underneath. And again, these are all building formulas. DAX is the programming language in Power BI, which I can teach you in the Power BI training course. But I know you're all talking about AI. You can also connect your Power BI report to an LLM. So here I'm connected to Claude, and I can say, I want to create a formula, which is actual minus budget. Create a formula which is actual minus budget. Should probably call it a measure because that's what Power BI refers to as measures. And so Claude, as an AI, an LLM, is connected to my Power BI semantic model, and it's now looking at the measures and it says it's done. So where is it? Oh, here it is here. So it just created that measure. So we can now add that one in as an additional one. Should be variance, which is the difference. So budget minus actual. Okay, and then I can say let's make a year over year because I don't have a year over year to put underneath. Let Claude go over here. Okay, make a previous year measure for this. Hopefully it'll come. You should see it appear down there. So it's writing the measure. Oh, there it is, previous year. So I'll go and put that in the reference label. And so obviously as our technology is improving, it improves our speed of development. So now I can write like that. Okay, great. Put these two measures we created in a folder called variance. So there's a lot of things available to us within Power BI in terms of how we design best practice for reports. So you can see here it's dropped it in a folder now for me. So that's Claude. You can do that with Copilot as well, with Copilot, and if you have your own LLM tools internally, you can do all of that. One of the goals when we're building out Power BI reports is to have security on top of them. So obviously you have all the Microsoft technology and security, but we all have something called row level security. And so what row level security is actually, if we go back to this report, maybe this is highly confidential finance data, and you can see on the side in level 3 here, I can filter to look at various levels or departments. So say I'm in the transport department. I shouldn't see environment or social and recreation. That data shouldn't be available to me. There's no need to make 3 different reports, one for social and one for transport. We can create row level security. And so what row level security does is it takes the same published report and it essentially filters that report so that when me from a certain department, when I look at it, I will only see data from that department. So the key benefit is we can have one report for all users across the whole organization. That data is filtered automatically when it identifies who the individual is. So we don't have multiple reports to maintain. So let me show you how you can set that up. So if I go up into the modeling ribbon here, manage the roles, I'm going to create one. I'll call it transport. And then I just need to say, how do you want to filter what we call a semantic model? So I would go to GL hierarchy, create a new rule, and I'd find that level 3. There's a lot of levels here. Here we go, level 3, and I say equals transport. So essentially I'm creating a group, and then I will assign people to this group who belong to transport. And so if I click save, and I close that, I can now view this as the transport person. So how will the transport person view this report? And you can see it's all pre-filtered. So whenever they come into the report, all the other data that isn't relevant to them is hidden. They can only see the report within the transport view. So this is very handy, and it allows us to just have one report across the whole organization. And when we talk about, deploying Power BI reports, we want to make sure that we don't have hundreds of reports across the organization where we have to maintain different types of security rules. We want only a few reports connected to only a few semantic models, and I'll explain best practice for that a little bit later. So that is row level security in a sense of I can set them up as groups. But sometimes people move groups. Obviously, sometimes people are acting, they move positions, they move departments. So we can actually create this a little bit more dynamically if we have access to everyone's, let's say, department and division and their email address. And you can get this from Entra ID, where you've got everyone's personal details. And you can see here on the screen, I am taking some user emails there, and I've got their departments. And obviously if they move, Entra ID will track that because IT will manage all of that. But my Power BI reports are going to rely on that to set the security. So we have what's called user principal name. That's just a formula in Power BI. If I jump back into Power BI here, and if I show you the table here, I have a row level security table. So these are all the users. I will just copy, actually, let's do a different one, environment, because I did transport, copy that email because I'm going to use it later. But this person, environment.manager@council.gov.au, their level 3 is environment. And so what I can do is, instead of using this version, which is manual, I can make it more dynamic. So you can see here in the top right, I am signed in. So that's me, that's my email address. Yeah, if you haven't got my contact details, there it is. Power BI knows who I am. And obviously I need a license to use Power BI. But I can go to the roles and set up with this table. Now, for this to work, I need the filtering to work like so. So for example, this is a table, row level security. It has an email address. So it knows me, my email address, and then it will find, obviously, me in here and say my email address is linked to environment, level 3, then filter the hierarchy table to only show environment. Then filter the GL to only show environment, and then filter the balances to only show environment. So the semantic model is important that it's set up correctly, so that, because if one of these tables weren't joined, it wouldn't work. Or if one of these arrows wasn't pointing the right way, it also wouldn't work. So once the semantic model is built correctly, now we can head over to modeling, manage model. And I've already pre-built this one. You can see I created the role here on security, and I said the user email, which is from the table, must equal user principal name. And that is just a code in DAX. DAX is the programming language of Power BI that identifies me as the person logged in. So whatever the person's logged in, make that equal to the user email. Now, again, the user email we're taking is environment. So if I copy that one here, head back across. Now, if I go view this time and I choose department manager and then enter the email address, fingers crossed, we just get environment. And so you can have this more dynamic row level security. And because it's connected to Entra, when someone moves departments, I don't need to go to all my Power BI reports and update the security, because that would be a nightmare. So this allows this all to be dynamic. People are moving, they're acting. We can manage all of that via entry ID, and we're just looking for the email. So just want to show you a couple of more advanced things. But in essence, when we're working in Power BI, we want to make sure that, I suppose, it's enterprise ready. And when we use it across the organization, we're using it following best practices. So in terms of best practice for design, you know, the fonts, the colors, the logos are correct. And then also in terms of the security. And so all of this we can build in. If I jump to the next slide, is my semantic model. So the semantic model, which is the tables and relationships you saw, is like the back end of Power BI. So we have Citica's data warehouse that joins to Power BI and creates the semantic model. And then on top of the semantic, or the semantic model contains, sorry, all the formulas that we built, and the ones I just built then, the row level security, and then all the relationships. And once we've built one of these semantic models, it becomes like a corporate asset. And so this general ledger semantic model, we can share across the whole organization for people to use. And it is available to them, and we can have multiple reports. So in this example, I've got a finance report, a department views report. It is all connected to the one semantic model. And so the benefits of this is this one semantic model will only hit the data warehouse and refresh once, instead of, for example, having 10 different reports with their own semantic models. We can have consistent measures, and the measures can be shared. So the formulas are shared across the organization, the format and the naming conventions. The row level security, which we just set up, I only have to do that once, and everyone else can piggyback and use that. And that means it's now self-service ready. So if anyone wants to answer a particular question about the general ledger, they will actually connect to the semantic model we've built, not directly to the data warehouse. This means we have one source of truth, which is, you know, very important. We don't want different figures going out, different numbers in our reports, because that would be a nightmare. So how would we do this now? So if I was a user now connecting to a Power BI report, I wouldn't connect to the data warehouse. I could just connect to the semantic model itself. So I'll show you how to do that. But get data semantic model, and I would pick one of the semantic models that's available to me. And all the measures, the row level security, the relationships, it's all pre-built and ready for me to go. So I'll show you where you can do that. If we stop viewing here. So for the first time, when you are creating the report and whoever is building the report, again, if you need support building these reports, I'm more than happy. Please do get in contact with me. Get data, I would connect to, zoom in so you can see a little bit better, SQL Server, and I would connect to the data warehouse. If I wanted to connect to something that someone's already built, I would pick a Power BI semantic model, and I'll show you what that looks like there. And you can see I've got a lot of semantic models that I've built, various. Some of these are from the training courses that I run, and some of them are just other things that I've built. There's some open ones there. So all these semantic models are here. So now, instead of having 10 connections to the data warehouse, we just did it once, and now we have 10 connections to the semantic model instead. So let me cancel that. So if there's any other questions, I'm happy I can demo it on the screen for you. But that's just talking about in terms of, how do we deploy this enterprise-wide, which is one of the services I've offered. I've done 15 councils approximately rolling out Power BI best practice in terms of visualization guides, the templates, which is kind of what we've got here, semantic model best practice, security, and things like that. So that's it for the demo. Is there anything else, or is there any questions? Or anybody want me to demo? Yep.
There is one question in the channel here. Can the Azure entry security groups be used with RLS? So the security groups.
Yeah. So, security groups. So RLS is using email addresses, but when you can assign people using security groups. So I didn't actually show the assignment. The assignment's in the Power BI service. Let me just quickly share, where'd my browser go? This one here. So yes, in powerbi.com. So everything that you saw me do there was Power BI desktop. When you share your reports, it's all done via Fabric in powerbi.com. If I jump into a particular workspace, let's go into my test workspace here. The security, I don't have any security. Which one do I have security? I don't have any security groups on any of these. But we jump in here. Okay, I need to set up. I would have to publish this report to Power BI. I can do that. Demo. I'll put that in the test workspace. So row level security, we first set it up in Power BI desktop, and that's why I was getting that message that you need to first set it up in Power BI desktop. Now, if I go back into here and go and find that report that I just created, demo. Sorry, and again, just to further iterate, when I published that, I had the report, so the front end that I built, and then the semantic model is the back end report. So we can have multiple reports connected to this semantic model, and that's definitely what we want to do when we're doing enterprise deployment. So we can use this semantic model for other reports now. Security. And so email addresses is how you can assign people in here. So yes, you can use security groups in here and enter, instead of individual emails, you can enter security groups. So you can do it in there. And so you could do that both ways, dynamic or the older way where we just create a transport. That was the one I created non-dynamically, and I could enter a security group in here. So definitely better practice to do it via security groups if you have that option. No, thank you. And any other questions? Happy to demo on the screen for you.
None currently in the queue there, Warren.
All good. All right, well, I know we've got a Q&A at the end, so I'm happy to hand back to you, Christian, if you wanted to do the last bit of the presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll take the screen back.
Your
Okay,
camera is
thank you.
off, Christian.
That's right. I've clicked the button. I'm just waiting for it to turn back on. There we go. Thank you very much. Thanks for the reminder. Okay, so just to continue on, thank you, Warren, for that. That's really good to be able to actually see really the power of the data warehouse, how easy it is to go and build those dashboards and actually get those insights in tools like Power BI. So I've just got a couple of slides here to talk about the data warehouse and how it actually gets the data and how it hangs together. I did mention it quickly before, but essentially the power of the data warehouse is in the ETL process. So extract, transform, and load. So we've got all of our couple thousand tables in Authority and in Altitude for all the different modules that you may be using. We go through a big transformation process where we go and select all that data. We include all the different configuration options and things that you have in Authority about how your data is structured, how it works, all those different types of registers and CRM, and how you're calculating whether something's due or overdue. All that configuration gets included and gets transformed and then put up into the Azure cloud in a serverless SQL server. So this is sitting up in the cloud, which makes it very easy to make it accessible for councils. At the moment, we're simply just whitelisting council's IP ranges, and giving you a database connection. So it is all driven by SQL at the moment, but there are a few things that we're looking to change and make available to you as well going forward to give you some more options. So the power of the data warehouse is in that ETL process. And then going to the next slide, also looking at the data structure. So again, one of the things Warren sort of pointed out there is how having the links between those tables is very important, making sure that the arrows are pointing the right way, the data is linking correctly, and everything is structured and easy to use. So we actually have all that linking and all that structuring in the data warehouse out of the box. So all the different modules we bring in, we try to, as best we can, follow a star schema. So that being having a primary table and then having everything else linked to that. But in some cases, we may sort of have to add one or two extra outer layers just to give the joining. Because as you imagine, in Authority, there's a lot of modules and a lot of them do join across different sections as well. So making it as easy as we can and following that schema. We do also like to make sure that everything is named correctly, as mentioned, plain English naming conventions, trying to be consistent with the naming. So we do look at what the names are in Authority itself on those front end screens. So if you are wanting to compare, what does it look like in Authority? It should match very much what's in the data warehouse as well. So that's one thing that's very important to us. And also mentioning the data structure, we have got quite a few extra tables and things in the data warehouse. So date dimension tables, again, just to make it easy for you to run a report that says what day of the week did this barking dog request come in. So it'll actually say it came in on a Monday or something else. So you have the ability to actually join dates and things to that date dimension table to find out, very easily what quarter did it appear in, what financial year did it appear in, what day of the week it was, those sorts of inquiries. And then going on, mentioned our Power BI templates. So we do have a big suite of those. There's some screenshots there. They are available to download with some demonstration data in them from our community portal. But idea being, if you've got the data warehouse, you can simply point it to your own instance of the data warehouse and refresh that data. And then just quickly talking about what's next. So data warehouse, we're connecting using SQL at the moment. We are in the process of developing API connections. So you can join the data directly using APIs, which is actually going to utilize your intra ID security, and the roles that are assigned to people. So you can actually map the different roles within your security groups to get access. So again, you might assign the payroll module just to people that belong to that payroll group. Or maybe purchasing officers can actually see tables in the data warehouse that just relate to purchasing. So it gives you a lot more security, a lot more flexibility. We also have a Power BI connector. So as Warren sort of gave the example, when you're in there, you can say get data from SQL Server. We'll actually have an option in there that says get data from Civica. So it will actually, again, give you a very nice interface to simply go through, authenticate using your Enter ID, and the APIs will restrict what data you're allowed to see, and it will give you access to the tables that you're allowed to access. So that's all using the Power BI connector. But again, doing that all, making tools like Power BI very, very easy for end users. AI is a big space we're looking in and doing work in. Power BI itself has great with this new release, giving more flexibility, as demonstrated again by Warren with Claude. So you can actually use plain text prompts to generate measures, even maybe full dashboards and things, showing different visualizations and things going forward into the future. So giving you all that flexibility of those AI models. We're always adding new views, new modules into the data warehouse based off customer feedback and prioritization. So always looking to expand that to make it easier. And delta loads, meaning we're only going to be loading differential data. So rather than doing an extraction of all the data every single time we synchronize, it'll only be bringing through change data, which means it's going to be a lot quicker to get that live up-to-date data. And even Power BI, we're looking to expand our suite of templates. We do have it for quite a few modules at the moment, but again, looking to expand that out. So there's a few already in the works, and we plan to be, just releasing those as they're completed. And then just one last little point here is, again, sort of why choose the data warehouse. So it's very quick to get it up and running. So it's not a big project. You need to be training lots of people. It is a very quick implementation process. It's backed by proven expertise. So we've got all of our consultants and customers in the past to work with us to develop these data sets and test these data sets. So it is very much proven. And it is purpose built for authority. So you've got the right people in there building things properly, and it can deliver you those outcomes very, very quickly. And then I'm just going to open up to some questions. I did see there's a couple coming through now. So let's see here.
Yeah, Christian, there is one that say, do we data dictionary for Civica data warehouse, and which all module table in data warehouse map to which table or STD
Yes.
views in authority?
Yes, so we do have a data dictionary Power BI template that we give you as a part of it, but it basically just pulls data from another table in the data warehouse that has all that mapping in there. So we can essentially see how that ETL process works. So if we've got a big query that goes and gets data, it calculates. A simple one might be, we have a field in the data warehouse for a CRM, and we want to know how many days overdue it is. A simple question, but it is a very, very complex query to pull that data through, because we've got the date that it was logged. Is it looking at a business calendar or a normal day calendar? Do things get calculated based on the day it was logged, or is it one day afterwards? If it's completed the first day, does that count as a completed on time? All these different variables all go into a big query that gets included in just a simple field that you can see in the data warehouse. And if you wanted to, that data dictionary shows you that complex logic. So if you want to sort of work backwards to see how did we come up with that number, you can use that data dictionary to see all those queries, formulas, and the fields and tables that the data comes from.
Thank you, Christian. There is a follow-up question to this one. Is it safe to assume all the stock STD tables and views and their corresponding attributes and columns in authority can be found in data warehouse as well?
Look, I'll say not every single field may be in there. We've done our best to sort of work with the consultants and customers to map the fields and things that are important. One thing we found with Authority in doing this project is there's a lot of fields, a lot of things in there that don't necessarily get used and or aren't important for reporting. So the focus very much is around bringing the data through for reporting and making that available. So in some cases, we might be concatenating fields together as opposed to bringing things through from Authority, because sometimes you might have description field 1, 2, 3, whereas we just bring it through as a concatenated description field. But the majority of the data should be there. We do still have a few modules that we're adding in that we're sort of working with customers to prioritize, but the vast majority are there, and pretty much so far all the ones that people are needing are already available in the data warehouse.
Thank you, Christian. Another question for you. We have found that the Power BI online service can't connect to data warehouse because of the IP restriction. Do you have any advice on setting up a network rule to get around this?
Sure. Power BI itself, when you publish a report, it can go to two places essentially. One is maybe a local reporting server if you have one set up, or it'll go up to Microsoft's report server. So in getting access to refresh the data, if it is published to Microsoft themselves would have to essentially connect to the data warehouse. So this sometimes can be restricted because we are whitelisting the IP ranges. The simplest way around that is to create a gateway. So creating a gateway on your network just simply makes it available so that the Microsoft servers can see the data warehouse data.
Thank you, Christian. Another question for you, too, actually. Do you combine data from other sources or systems too, or just Authority? And can we have access to the Civica Reflect data in data warehouse?
Good question. At the moment, it is very much focused around the Authority system, but we are looking to expand it into other Civica products. And then also sort of playing with the idea of opening it up to, allowing customers to almost treat it as a service. So if they've got other systems, they want to bring data into the data warehouse, we could possibly look at that and build custom ETLs. But that's something we're probably looking at as a future thing. So at the moment, it is very much focused on the Authority and Altitude products.
Okay, thank you. And there is another question that is probably for the best of us, but it's about the costs involved in getting data warehouse. I think the best way is to contact your account manager after this call, and they will be able to give you all the information regarding pricing.
Yes. Yep.
I think, let me check again, but I think we have answered all the questions. If you have another question, you can type it right now in the question box. Otherwise, Christian, do you mind going to the next slide, please?
I can do that.
Okay, so on this slide, you can see all your account managers' names. If you do not have their contact details and you want to have them, feel free to send us an email or to respond to the email invitation that you got from the webinar. We'll be able to send that to you. And on the right side of your screen, you should be able to see all the details from Warren with his website, YouTube channel, where you can see all the fantastic videos that he's doing about Power BI. And also you can follow him on LinkedIn. So all these links will be available for you in the presentation that we are going to send through with the recording in the next few days. I'm not seeing any new questions coming in, Christian and Warren, so I think we can wrap up for today. Thank you very much for Christian and Warren for your time today and talking to our wonderful customers today about data insights and Power BI and data warehouse. And I wish you all a very nice day. Thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.